All right, guys. So for today's show, I am very honored to welcome to the show Rock and Roll Hall of Fame drummer from the one and only Lynyrd Skynyrd, Mr. Artimus Pyle. Artimus, how are you this fine afternoon?
I'm great, John. Where are you?
Just outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, nice. I was just talking today to another outlet that we love playing in Pennsylvania, and we just played in Bethlehem
Oh, sure. Sure, sure.
at that really beautiful venue there, Bethlehem Steel.
Yes, yes, sir.
What a with the five blast
Gorgeous,
furnaces,
right?
man. That place is so awesome. And behind the stage is like a big glass wall.
Okay.
And behind that, out in this great big area, are the five blast furnaces. So
Those furnaces
yeah,
are so
we
cool.
we love Pennsylvania. I've got a lot of friends all over Pennsylvania. We play everywhere, but I I am a wimp. I cannot stand the brutal winters. I'm just such a wimp.
We're supposed to get flurries today, as a matter of fact. So
It's
you're
62 degrees here.
lovely. I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Well, I live in North Carolina, and on a 50-acre farm out in the country with one of my sons, Marshall. Um, He writes music. He's got a beautiful voice. We jam all the time. I'm the
Awesome.
drummer for my oldest son's band, Pyle Tribe. He's 52. Chris is 52.
Okay.
And then my youngest son, River, just graduated from Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina, with a degree in sustainable environment. So I am the
Interesting.
happiest guy. I'm surrounded by all my sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters. So I'm good.
I mean, look, family, that's what it's all about. So that's a
And we
good thing.
play,
And
we play music together too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, we're going to talk about the latest album, Anthems, that's out, and you have a family of musicians that have come together to participate in this record. No,
It is the family, and I would say the family was brought together by the incredible, prolific writing of Ronnie Van Zant, um, with songs that have lasted all this time, like we never had a plane crash, on radio stations all over the world, really.
100%.
And so it's in honor of Ronnie that this whole family came together, and it's very much deeper. You said a mouthful because Gary Rossington. I got Gary on Freebird with Dolly Parton on our new album, and we cut the track, and through some friends, I said, "Hey, Gary, we're going to do Freebird on a tribute album to Ronnie Van Zant and his band. Would you like to do your slide solo?" And he said, "Well, I'm not in really good health right now. I don't feel really good." And I went back immediately and said, "Well, let us know when you feel better. By the way, Dolly Parton singing Freebird." Gary came back immediately and said, "You know what? I feel a lot better all of a sudden." And so we were able, against all odds, and I mean the shenanigans of Nashville, Tennessee, against all odds, people trying to break it up and trying to make it not happen because it wasn't benefiting their bank account.
Yeah,
We did
understood.
this out of the love of music. We didn't do this for money. The lion's share of the money on this project is going to go to the children and grandchildren of the rock and roll Southern rockers that are up in rock and roll heaven that wrote the songs.
I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Right, because of the royalty. And we did that by design. I wanted to do something for the legacy, for the children and the grandchildren, because for years, lawyers and managers and backstabbers and brown nosers trying to keep everybody apart so there'd be more money for them to steal from the major monetary wealth of the name Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Right.
People just stealing and grabbing left and right. I'm about the music. I'm not about that BS. So we did our album out of love for the music, which I play every day. I'm 75 years old. and the band tells me I still play like I'm 25. You can't play Skynyrd music any other way.
Of course.
And our band has been together 15 years.
Wow.
And we know this music. We play this music better than any band in the world, bar none. And the guys in my band, Jerry Lida, Scott Rains, Dave Fowler, Brad Durden, these are guys from Tennessee, Kentucky, the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama.
So they grew up with that music, yeah.
Me from Florida. We are a true Southern rock band.
Yep.
And I don't require anybody in my band to dress up like my old band members that are up in rock and roll heaven, or in the parallel universe, where whatever you think.
Yeah.
I don't do that. We're not a circus act. We're not a clown act. There's 5 of us, and 3 of the best vocalists, but they stepped aside to let people, the greatest of all time, Dolly Parton. She is such a humanitarian, and she does stuff for children and children's hospitals, reading programs, singer, songwriter, movie star, play guitar as good as a man. But Dolly is so unbelievably cool. And when she played Freebird for me after we recorded the track, I cried. I mean, like a baby. The tears just gushed. I didn't even see it coming. Her gigantic little voice,
Sure.
Singing Freebird, and those words that Ronnie wrote, "If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me?"
And the arrangement is so poignant because it's at one point in the beginning just piano and Dolly, and you really get that. And then later on, she belts it out like no one's business. It's amazing.
Thank you for noticing, because that arrangement was APB and Kent Wells.
Wow.
Wanted something really special for Dolly, and all you got to do is give her the challenge, and she steps up. And I've never seen it. I've never been around anybody in my life like Dolly, and she is just such a nice person, and she's the same to everybody. Now when she's in the studio and working, Kent Wells and Dave Fowler told me that Dolly, she's got energy, and her, she's so sparked up with energy. You better be correct. And she does it all to take care of people and share her incredible talent. We're from the same part of Tennessee.
Okay.
And everything. We could be related, honestly. I'm not joking. Dolly and I are from the Tennessee, Fentress County, and over in Sevierville. And she married a Blaylock, and Sidney Blaylock married my mother's youngest sister, Jonelda, who went to the University of Tennessee. So there's very, and Sidney Blaylock that sold all that property to Dollywood, their family. Dolly and Sidney Blaylock went to school together. And so there's a connection there, and
that's a small
we all
world.
love her. Who doesn't love Dolly? And once Dolly said she was going to do Freebird, that opens up the door for people like Sammy Hagar, to come in and sing Simple Man. And all of these artists put their best foot forward because they were singing, Dolly included, because she's a pro, and put their best foot forward for a fellow singer, songwriter, a prolific songwriter and performer. And that is Dolly, that is Sammy, that is everybody that's on this album. They are all consummate professionals on stage and off and in the studio. And we are so fortunate to have all of them. And now it's done. February the 2nd, was the official drop date, which is just recently, Groundhog's Day. I kept expecting to wake up the next day and our album hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
And then wake up the next day and our album hasn't been released yet. Because that's what it's felt like. It's felt like Groundhog's Day trying to get this thing done.
Sure.
It was not easy, John, believe me, doing the Nashville two-step. But we did get it done. We have our pride. We crossed all the T's, dotted the I's. Everything is correct. Nobody can come at us and try to sue us because there's 50,000 blood-sucking weasel attorneys that are
Yep.
ready to, for no good reason, just come and file a lawsuit.
Someone somewhere's in an office
us.
trying to think of some reason for sure.
And yeah, I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be an attorney. I can fly an airplane. I had my first airplane crash with my uncle when I was 11. I've had 3 airplane crashes. I wanted to be an attorney. I went to Tennessee University and Ohio State University after I got out of the Marines to, looking at pre-law courses. But I'm a flake, and I'm not a good student. I'm not academic whatsoever. Some of my children, my children are brilliant compared to my dumbass. No, they're brilliant compared to anybody. But I can't remember case law. And if I had somebody's life in my hands, and it depended on me to remember case law, that's not going to happen. So I stick with my thing that I'm good at. I can run a bulldozer, I can fly a plane, I can hammer nails. But what I love to do is to play drums. I am joyous when I'm behind the drums playing Lynyrd Skynyrd sets, these long sets ending in Freebird. And we just did it last weekend. We played in New London, Connecticut, and Woonsocket, Rhode Island. The week before that, we were on Patch Hog at the Performing Arts Center there on Long Island.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let me say it right. Long Island.
Yeah.
And it was great. And now all of y'all are under snow now, right?
Here in the Northeast in Philadelphia area, we just had snow. We're supposed to get a little bit more, but yeah, it's chilly though.
You had that nor'easter that ran through there last few days.
Yes, sir.
And everything, but yeah, gosh, I mean, we played Philadelphia so many times. I'm talking about Lynyrd Skynyrd in the 70s with the band all over that area, and we love Pennsylvania, and I mean, who can't love Philadelphia? Which I think about that. I mean, you talk about patriotic.
It's such a music city,
and it's a music city. It's an iconic city, and as many are. But Philadelphia, that's where freedom rang, the first time, and
where it all started.
I bet Philadelphia is pissed off at us right now. The way we've, the Constitution is up for grabs, man. I'm telling you. Whew. Anyway, I won't go there. The album Anthems. Let me just say,
just keep it to music. Come on, Artimus, focus.
Yeah, anytime I stray, I always make myself realize, did I mention that Dolly Parton singing Freebird?
Exactly.
And it was great, and we were lucky to be able to get Gary on there, and then we lost Gary, as you well know.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that he's on there. That's wow, that's incredible.
Well, about a year ago in March, coming up on a year now, we lost Gary Rossington, who was the last living founding member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And he and Bob Burns and Ronnie Van Zant in a carport on the west side of Jacksonville. It's very emotional for me to think about them. And Bob and I were inducted in the Hall of Fame together in 2006 at the Waldorf Astoria there in the Big Apple. And Miles Davis, Black Sabbath, Blondie, the Sex Pistols, us. It was cool.
Crazy.
It was an amazing induction ceremony and class, the 21st class. So I get to vote every year. So we lost Gary because he was 71. I'm 75. Gary, they just worked Gary. They were so pushed by money. I play music because I love music. I don't play music for a big fat paycheck. I like to get paid like anybody else. But I'm not greedy. I live out in the country. I live a modest lifestyle.
But it sounds like the main focus is the music and
it's the music, man. And so that's what we do. And Gary just worked himself. He could have lived longer. I went down to his service, and it was very dignified. All of Gary's beautiful, famous guitars all over the place, surrounded by flowers
Mm.
and pictures of his grandchildren and children. And I knew, his daughters, like my own, Mary Elizabeth and Annie Kathleen, they were just little young girls, and
Wow.
now they're grown women. And they hugged me and hugged my neck. They were glad to see me. They always are. And so I went down to represent and be there for Gary's girls, and that's what we did. But that was in March, so we were able to get Gary on the cut with Dolly, as I told you the story.
Sure.
And Kent Wells, I connected Gary with Kent Wells, Dolly's producer, because he's very well respected in Nashville, and deservedly so. And he, hooked up with Gary. Gary knew it was legit because there was people telling Gary that Dolly backed out of the project, which was a lie.
Really?
And she didn't, of course. And Kent Wells set Gary straight and said, no, they're lying to you. Dolly's 100% in. She's been my friend for 35 years. I think I know. So
Artimus, I mean,
Gary,
music is amazing, but the business side simply sucks, man. I mean, I hear so
people
many
will
bad
do
stories, man.
anything, man. It's just amazing that you can talk about music, how it's the language of the universe. I'm talking jazz, country. I listen to Weather Report and Mahavishnu Orchestra and John McLaughlin and Herbie Hancock and Miles Davis and Billie Holiday. And I'm known as the Southern rock drummer. I listen to Led Zeppelin. I listen to the Beatles. I listen to country. I love good country. I love real country, bluegrass. I live in the Carolinas.
Sure.
But man, it's all that beautiful art space for freedom and expression. And then some guy comes along and wants to sell you your own idea. You come up with an idea, and then some guy goes, I got an idea. I'm going to sell you this idea. It's so ridiculous. The music business is so vile sometimes, but it does take attorneys, and it does take business people, and there are good business people, and there are good attorneys.
Yep, just like anything else. Yep.
Just like anything else. But the bad ones, which there's a lot, give the rest of them a bad name.
Sure.
And but we were able to navigate it, get Gary on there, and then we lost Gary. He's gone.
For the album,
the last thing he recorded, John, man, was
wow,
his iconic slide solo
wow,
with Dolly.
and it sounds like he was in his prime. I mean, it sounds amazing. The Skinner catalog obviously is vast, and how did you decide what songs to record for Anthems?
Oh wow, a good observation.
I mean, there's so many. Obviously, a lot of the hits are on there, but are these your favorites, or did you have somebody in mind and pick a song for them, or how'd that go?
Well, through our bass player, David Fowler, who had played with Dolly and Lori Morgan. And Dave is a great bass player, well respected in Nashville. And he's been playing with us for years. And Dave kind of brought we all talking about the idea of the tribute there. And, a record company, out in Texas said, hey, I've got some costumes. And a PR firm in Nashville, Spinning Plates, they said, hey, I've got a barn, and we're all like, well, let's put on a show. And so it all culminated in this beautiful tribute album. And once Dolly opened the door with Freebird, who doesn't want to be in an album with Miss Parton? And, she's married, has been for a long time, to a wonderful man named Carl. She loves him very much. He loves rock and roll. So I'm sure Dolly told Carl, one day, hey, Artimus and the boys asked me to sing Freebird, and what do you think? And I'm sure he said, yeah.
She just did a rock and roll album, so come on,
Yeah,
she's got it in her.
So we were the first one recording.
Wow.
because she in the studio she played the vocal for me, and I cried, as I said, like a
Yeah.
baby. I cried when she played her vocal on our track that we recorded, and she said, "Wow!" And I said, "Well, Dolly, I get to vote in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're on the ballot. I'm voting for you." She goes, "Well, I don't know if I deserve it." I said, "Dolly, ma'am, you deserve everything. You are a humanitarian, and then everything else. Yeah, you
You're
deserve
just so much
everything."
larger than just the music, you know?
She is, and of all of her reading programs for children, and the money she gives to uh, hospitals for children. So anyway, she said, "Look, I guess I will accept." Nothing that I said. I'm sure she thought about it. She goes, I probably will accept the nomination, and can I put Freebird on my album if I do a rock album? Well, Dolly doesn't do anything halfway.
Right.
She did 30 songs, and with the Beatles and everybody left from all these great bands,
Just amazing.
Fleetwood Mac, everybody, Elton John. So when she said, "Can I put this song on my album?" When I do a rock album, my whole band and I were like, um, "Yes, ma'am." "Yes,
We're
Miss
not
Parton,
worthy. We're not worthy.
you may put our song on your album," and it went worldwide.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
for a minute or two, on all the formats around the world, because we're on Dolly's album. Hell, it's in Cracker Barrel. Once you make Cracker Barrel, and so we're on the album,
Wait,
and we're in
so
Cracker
where
Barrel.
does Cracker Barrel go for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Is it is it above?
Well, now we're on there, and I'm in Cracker Barrel.
That's
So,
amazing.
and then she's on our album, of course, as well. So it was a beautiful trade off, and um, we're so proud of her. When she got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, and she went out to L.A. and did that show, and she was so cool. I don't know if you saw the induction.
I
Uh,
haven't seen it. No.
it was so cool. Everybody, the all of the female singers that are so good, like Pink and Sheryl Crow, and the list goes on. They all came out and honored Dolly, singing some of her songs. Everybody, and then she came out. She said her thank yous, and it was very short and sweet and sincere. Then she went back, and the girls came out and sang a Dolly song. I think it might have been Coat of Many Colors. And then she came back out on stage. She was wearing black leather and studs. And she had on an electric guitar. And she goes, "Well, if I'm going to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I guess I better earn it." And she hit a power chord. She went strang. And because she can play guitar as good as a man.
That's so
And
classic.
and she hit the power chord, and the camera went on the front row of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and it was like Jay-Z and Beyonce and all the pretty heavy hitters in the world of music, and their jaws, everybody's jaw, literally dropped when she
Wow.
hit that power chord, and I couldn't believe it. I was so proud of her, and
And that's just
so
talent. She could do it. She could do anything.
she can do anything.
That's crazy. I did want to touch on before our time ends up. You mentioned Sammy Hagar, and "Simple Man" is a song that's near and dear to me. It's just a beautiful song, and what I like about the album, Artemis, is that each member who adds their vocals keeps it true to Skynyrd, but you could hear themselves in there as well. And Sammy does a beautiful job on "Simple Man," such an iconic song, but it's more rock instead of Ronnie's bluesy, but he killed it. It was an amazing song.
Thank you for noticing, and you've got a great ear. All of the artists stepped up for Ronnie, but Sammy, I've known Sammy since he was touring with a band called Ronnie Montrose.
Oh, okay, sure.
Remember
Rock Candies.
Montrose?
Of course, yeah.
Well, we did a lot of shows together, Lynyrd Skynyrd and Montrose, and all the bands of the day. So
Wow.
Sammy, we've known each other for a long time. I was, after our plane crash and everything, and we were just trying to deal with it in our hearts and souls. I, from afar, watched Sammy, go, Sammy Halen, and what do they call it, Van Hagar, and then all of his solo stuff. Man, the guy rocks. He's got a beautiful voice, and he plays guitar, like the ring of a bell. He can play guitar as good as anybody. And Sammy, you can hear the cry in his voice. Do you know what I'm talking about? A cry.
Yeah.
Elvis had it. A lot of country singers have that cry in their voice.
It's that little uniqueness in there.
That little cry. And Charlie, I was thinking of Charlie Daniels for some reason. I miss Charlie. Everybody does. We would have had him on this album, believe me.
Oh, I'm sure.
But Sammy really stepped up and just, you're right. He put that solid rock voice that he's capable of, and those his range and everything. And everybody loves it. It's like Ronnie Dunn. He put from Brooks and Dunn. He sang Sweet Home Alabama. Now, Ronnie Van Zant had a Southern accent. Of course he did. He was from Florida. But Ronnie Dunn has a twang, and he sang it like Sweet Home Alabama. That little twang that he put in there. And we dropped it on October 20th in Nashville as a single. Everybody loved it. Sweet Home Alabama. He opened Sweet Home Alabama up to a whole new genre.
And Chris Janson too. He has that soul unique country voice, and the Ballad of Curtis Lowe. It's perfect.
I think Ronnie Van Zant would put a big thumbs up to the selection of artists that sing the particular songs, because you're right. They kept they sang it the way it's supposed to be sang, but they sang it with their own special voice. And just in honor of Ronnie, and you've got a good ear, man. I love the way Sammy sang that. I love the way Ronnie Dunn put that great, vocal. It's so strong. And our tracks, all of our tracks, Jerry Lida, Scott Rains, Brad Durden, myself, and Dave Fowler, we are the basic track on those, using modern Nashville technology, the latest recording techniques. And, the mastering that you get in Nashville, and the of course the mixing that Kent Wells did, it came out sonically very strong, and the vocals were like icing on the cake.
Every song on that album is a must listen to. I know everyone streams nowadays, but if anyone goes to artemispyleband.com, there's a limited number of vinyls. There's an awesome pack which has a autographed drumhead as well, which is really, really cool, limited edition CD, and a autographed Artimus Pyle drumhead. So people can check that out. But Artimus, our time's running up, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining the show. Anthems is the album, Skynyrd's the band, and I wish you much success, and hope to see you back in Pennsylvania, sir.
Man, it was so great to be in Philadelphia today with you, John. We appreciate what you do to keep our music alive. People, radio stations all over the world, basically keeping us alive. And this new presentation of the same songs with a little shine on them. Thank you for getting that word out. I've talked around the world, and everybody loves the album, says it's a great tribute album. And I hope we can come and play in Pennsylvania soon. We're up there all the time.
Excellent.
So if you see us playing, please come and be our guest. We'll roll out the red carpet. You can sit on my drum riser when we do our show, man.
I'm a guitar player. I don't drum too well, but it's an honor. Artimus, thank you so much, and you have yourself a great afternoon.
Okay, John.